I'm looking for something in a soft pink, maybe size 8, I said, holding up the dress between my fingers. My niece loved pink. The store manager cocked her head. I'm sorry, is that even English? I froze my mouth open, but no words came out at first. Did I just hear her right? Excuse me? She grinned, like she was already the hero of her own joke. Just didn't expect that kind of grammar here. That's all. A wave of heat rose to my face. My fingers tightened around the fabric. I caught the young clerk Olivia staring at the floor like it might open up and swallow her whole. So people who sound like me can't shop here? I asked. My voice wasn't loud, but it wasn't small either. It wavered, embarrassed. Angry, proud Rachel crossed her arms. Calm down. No one said that you're being aggressive. Aggressive? The word hit me in the chest harder than the insult. Before it, I asked about a dress. You mocked my accent, and now I'm the problem? A few heads turned. A woman near the sunglasses display leaned slightly to one side. Trying to get a better view, a man at the counter glanced over his shoulder, holding a credit card in midair. You're misunderstanding, Rachel snapped. It was just a little surprised. We're not used to accents like yours, accents like mine. I repeated. My hands shook. You mean immigrants? Or just brown women? She took a step back, as if I'd thrown something. You need to lower your tone. I'm speaking exactly how I always speak, Olivia finally whispered. I'm sorry. She didn't look at me, just twisted her fingers together. I stared at her. Then say something. You heard what she said. Her eyes flicked toward Rachel and back down. I don't want to lose my job. A sharp ache bloomed in my chest. Neither do I, but I also don't want to lose my dignity just to get through a shopping trip. Rachel snorted. Oh, please, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Out of proportion is pretending you didn't insult me just because I stood my ground. I think you should leave. I think I already am. I dropped the dress on the counter. My hands burned, my face burned, my pride burned. I walked past the stairs, some wide-eyed, some ducking down, pretending not to hear. I pushed open the glass door. Cool air hit my face like a slap. My phone trembled in my hand as I opened the text app. Me. I need you to come now. I'm outside. Ember and Ivy. Rachel. Store manager. I didn't know what my husband would do, but I knew. I wasn't going to cry in that hallway, not until someone said my name right. I don't care how she tries to spin it. She looked me in the eye and mocked my voice like I wasn't even human. I gripped the seatbelt, my nails digging into the strap. Malik's hand stayed steady on the steering wheel, but his jaw tightened. That was always his tell. Did anyone else say something? Not a damn soul, I said. They watched, silent, always silent. The engine hummed low under his breath. We were parked now, outside the same mall, lights from the sign flickering against the windshield. I swear, I've had it with this passive coward thing people do, I said. You don't have to wear a white hood to be part of the problem. Just stand there. Just do nothing, Malik nodded once. Lips pressed thin. My phone buzzed in my lap. Rachel. I stared at her name for a second before pressing play. Hi, this is Rachel from Ember and Ivy. Sorry if you felt uncomfortable earlier. But store policy is to maintain standards, and sometimes that means addressing communication issues. I hope you understand. Thank you. Silence. I blinked at the phone. Did she just... Malik leaned closer. Play it again? I hit replay, slower this time, letting each word slap me all over again. Sorry if you felt uncomfortable. She thinks my blackness is the disruption, I whispered. Like the problem wasn't what she said, it was how I took it, Malik muttered. This isn't an apology. This is a legal shield. I swallowed hard. My fingers wouldn't stop twitching. And she said communication issues like, I don't speak the language I've worked my whole life in. He shook his head. She wants you to second-guess yourself. Wants you to feel like maybe you did hear it wrong? That's how they protect themselves. I didn't speak, I just stared through the windshield at the glow of the boutique sign behind the glass. I've been second-guessing myself since I learned to talk, I said finally. Since teachers paused at roll call. Since cashiers talked slower when I asked a question. Since some manager at a department store told me I was so articulate. Malik turned to face me fully. Then don't second-guess now. I looked down at my phone. Then back at the building. Let's see if mall security feels the same way about Rachel's standards. You sure? No, but I'm tired of being sure and silent. I want to file a formal complaint, I said. My voice didn't shake this time. Rachel folded her arms behind the checkout counter, leaning back like I was wasting her afternoon. "This is just a misunderstanding," she said. Too sweet, too smooth. "We treat everyone equally here." I stepped forward, barely blinking. "No, you treat everyone silently. You singled me out." Mr. Patel, the mall security supervisor, cleared his throat and shifted his stance beside me. "Let's not escalate things unnecessarily." "Rachel, did you actually say what she's describing?" Rachel let out a breath like she was being patient with a toddler. "I may have made a light comment, but it was clearly a joke. She's just sensitive. I didn't mean harm." "Sensitive," I muttered. The word landed in my chest like wet cement. Mocking someone's accent and telling them to calm down, that's not harmless. That's targeted, and you knew it. She turned to Mr. Patel, palms up. "I was trying to defuse the situation." She was being aggressive. No, I was being visible. I said, "That's what bothers you." Malik stepped beside me, arms crossed, eyes locked on Rachel. "We didn't come here to argue, we came to hold someone accountable." Mr. Patel rubbed his temple. "Rachel, was there anyone else who heard the exchange?" I turned slowly toward Olivia, who stood frozen by the fitting room, eyes locked on the floor. Her face had gone pale. "Olivia," I said, soft but clear, "what did you hear?" She looked up at me just for a second, then over at Rachel's silence. Rachel's eyes didn't move, but her stare was loud enough to shake the walls. Olivia's voice cracked. I wasn't paying attention. I blinked once, twice, my throat burned. "You were 2 feet away," I whispered. "You mouthed, 'I'm sorry.' Remember that?" I can't say for sure what was said," she mumbled. "It all happened so fast." Rachel gave a small smile, victorious, poisonous even. "When they see it, they won't say it." Malik's hand brushed mine. "Let's go higher," he said. "She's not the final stop." Mr. Patel raised his hands. "Let's not escalate." "No," I cut in. I looked back at Rachel one last time. "The next woman who looks like me that walks in here, she speak louder," because I did. Rachel said nothing. Olivia stayed small, but I wasn't shrinking with them, not anymore. The walls in the office felt like they were closing in, beige, bland, suffocating. I sat stiff, my hands folded in my lap. Rachel lounged across from me like this was a spa consultation, not a complaint meeting. The mall director cleared his throat. "We've reviewed the footage. Unfortunately, there's no audio, so we can't confirm what was or wasn't said." I stared at him. "So silence is your cover?" His lips pressed together. "I get mocked, humiliated in front of customers." "And your conclusion is no audio?" Rachel chimed in, syrupy and smug. "I never mocked anyone." She raised her voice. "It made customers uncomfortable." I turned to her slowly. "I raised my voice after you questioned if I was speaking English, if you were so concerned about comfort. Maybe start with yourself?" She tilted her head. "I didn't say anything about English." I asked if I understood her request properly. "There's a difference." "No," I said sharply. "There's tone, there's delivery, and there's intent. And you hit all three like it was rehearsed." The director shifted in his seat. "Let's stay respectful. I understand. This is emotional." "No," I snapped. "You understand how to minimize. That's what this is. You're not looking for truth. You're looking for peace, for quiet, for me to nod and leave." Malik leaned forward, voice low but steady. "Do you need headlines to take this seriously?" The director's head snapped up. "Let's not threaten." "That wasn't a threat." I cut in. "That was a mirror." He blinked. I leaned forward now too. "You see a black woman demanding fairness, and suddenly it's about aggression, volume, disruption. But where was that urgency when she mocked me?" Rachel rolled her eyes. "This feels performative now." I let out a dry laugh. "You want to talk about performative? You tried to clean your image before the mirror was even dirty." That voicemail wasn't an apology, it was insurance. The director held up his hand. "Ms. Zara, we're doing what we can. These things are complex." "No," I said, "they're not." I looked right at him. "You're hoping I walk out of here and calm down? That I let this drop because it's uncomfortable? But I'm tired of carrying your comfort like it's my job." Rachel crossed her legs. "Are we done here?" Malik exhaled sharply. "You wish." I stood. My chair didn't even creak, it just slid back in silence. "You can't erase what people felt, what they saw," I said. "Even without audio, they watched a white woman humiliate someone in public. And call it customer service." Rachel glanced away. Finally, I opened the door. "Do what you need to do for your mall. I'll do what I need to do for my dignity. And this time, I didn't look back. The bell above the boutique door jingled, my heels clicked across the tile, louder than I expected. Maybe it was the silence that made it feel that way. Olivia looked up from behind the register. Her shoulders tensed the moment she saw me. I kept my pace slow, my chin high. She stepped out from behind the counter. Voice low. Please don't put me in this. I didn't stop walking. You were already in it. You just chose not to speak. She bit her lip, glanced toward the back, then turned away without another word. I reached for the same dress I touched last week. The tag was still crooked. Rachel's voice slid over my shoulder like oil. Back again? Thought you'd be busy filing lawsuits? I turned around slowly, dress still in my hand, and I thought you'd be busy learning what accountability looks like. She folded her arms and tilted her head. You think because you made a scene, people care? You're not the first to throw a tantrum in this store. No, I'm just the first to be expected to stay. Quiet afterward, a white customer near the jewelry counter gave a small laugh under her breath. She's just angry her husband wears a badge. My grip on the hanger tightened. My chest didn't rise. I turned to her. Say that louder. The woman looked up, fake surprise in her eyes. What? I didn't mean anything, just some people get touchy. Rachel didn't flinch. Maybe you shouldn't flaunt who protects you. It confuses people. I laughed once, dry and sharp. Protects me? I stepped forward. He doesn't protect me. I've been surviving without protection my whole life, long before the badge, long before this store. Rachel's smirk slipped just slightly, but I saw it. This isn't about him. I continued, this is about you. You think humiliating someone without using a slur makes it clean. You think if no one records it, it didn't happen. You think power only looks like a uniform. Rachel leaned in. You think you're powerful now? Because you stirred up a little sympathy? No, I said. I'm powerful because I didn't shrink. She blinked once. Because I walked back in here, alone again, and looked you in the eye. The silence crackled. Olivia shifted behind the counter. The woman by the jewelry display grabbed her purse a little tighter. Rachel tried to recover. This isn't how civilized people behave. I stepped closer. Don't use that word around me. She looked away. I let the dress drop back on the rack. It's not even worth it. Then why'd you come back? She muttered, to prove I could. I turned toward the door. And to remind you, I added without looking back, that your silence is not safety, not anymore. The bell jingled again as I left this time. The silence behind me didn't feel heavy, it felt cracked. I slammed the cabinet harder than I meant to. The glass inside rattled. I didn't care, let it break, I muttered. Malik leaned on the counter, arms folded. You've been pacing since we got home. Because I can't sit still. If I sit, it festers. He nodded slowly. So let it burn. I stared at him. And then what? They paint me as the angry black woman, like always? You think they're not already doing that? I scoffed and grabbed a glass, filled it, didn't drink it. I gave them no reason. Malik raised an eyebrow, existing while black. Is the reason I didn't answer? I didn't need to. Valerie stepped in from the hallway. Her voice calm but laced with something that never fully left her. Fear. Maybe, or memory. Be careful, baby, she said. They'll call you difficult, loud, unstable. I turned to face her. They already have. Every time I speak, they flinch. Like truth's a threat? She walked over, gently took the untouched glass from my hand. Truth is a threat, especially when it comes from a woman who doesn't know her place. I shook my head. I'm not trying to be liked. Mama, I'm trying to be heard. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Olivia, I want to talk. I saw everything. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything, please. Malik looked over my shoulder. You don't owe her anything. I know. She stood there while you got humiliated. I know, I repeated. Quieter. Now he moved closer. Then why even answer her? I stared at the screen. I could see Olivia's face again, tight, pale, pulled into itself, eyes that begged for distance while her silence screamed compliance. It's not about her, I whispered. It's about the ones watching, the ones who look like me, who've been where I stood, who think their voice won't matter. Valerie sat at the table, folded her hands like she used to when she prayed over bruises we couldn't name. Then speak, she said, like they've never been spoken for. My chest pulled tight. I blinked away the heat behind my eyes. Malik finally said, whatever. You do make it loud. I nodded. I looked back down at Olivia's message and I typed, let's talk but not in private. The mic hummed. As I stepped up, I felt it in my ribs, not nerves, just heat weight. Someone cleared their throat on the panel. A woman in a navy blazer looked over her glasses. "Miss Daniels, we've read your complaint." "Then let me read it." Aloud, I said, for the people who never get to speak it. Silence. I could feel Rachel's eyes burning through the back of my skull. I didn't turn around, not yet. I unfolded the paper slowly, not because I needed it, but because I wanted them to know I'd written it, every word, no lawyers, no edits. I entered the store looking for a dress. I asked a question. The manager responded with, "Is that even English?" A murmur moved through the crowd. I didn't pause. She smirked. She said she didn't expect that kind of grammar here. I asked if people who sound like me weren't welcome. I looked up, locked eyes with a man on the board, gray hair, clean tie, blank expression. She called me aggressive in a room full of shoppers. She humiliated me over how I speak, how I exist. Rachel shot up from her seat behind the defense table. "It was a joke." I turned slowly. "The joke was my existence." She flinched but stayed standing. "You're twisting it." I'm repeating it. The crowd shifted. I heard someone whisper, "Let her speak." I turned back to the mic. "You didn't twist anything, Rachel. You said what you meant. You thought I wouldn't say it back. You thought your tone would protect you." One of the board members leaned forward. "We're here for facts, not emotions." I faced him. "For people like me, they're the same thing." My voice didn't shake. Not this time. The chairwoman spoke. "Is there anyone here who can corroborate the event?" A chair scraped back. Olivia stood. Her hands trembled as she reached the second mic. "She did mock her." Rachel laughed, forced, loud, brittle. Olivia blinked fast. "We all heard it. I didn't say anything, but..." I remember. Rachel spat. "You just want to keep your job." Olivia shook her head. "No, I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror." Someone in the crowd clapped once, just once, but it broke the air like glass. Rachel folded her arms. "People are too sensitive. Everyone's offended by everything." I leaned into the mic. "We're offended because you dehumanize us and call it humor," another board member asked. "And what would justice look like to you, Miss Daniels?" I exhaled. "Justice, that's not what I'm chasing." I scanned the room. I want reckoning. I want people to stop hiding behind smiles and sarcasm. I want every child who sounds like me to know that silence isn't safety, that speaking is not a crime. I looked directly at Rachel now. "When you ignore racism, you inherit it." She didn't speak again, and I didn't need her to. I walked into that glass-walled meeting room knowing this wasn't about justice. It was about damage control. The mall director stood as if formality could fix what pride had broken. "Miss Daniels." He said, "Thank you for coming." I stayed. "Standing, is Rachel here?" "No, she's been placed on administrative leave pending internal review." I tilted my head. "Is that your word for hiding?" His lips tightened. "It's standard procedure." "Racism isn't standard." I said. "Neither is humiliating a customer." For her voice. Behind me, Malik leaned against the wall. Arms crossed. His silence was louder than most people's rage. "We've initiated policy reform." The director went on. "A mandatory anti-discrimination program staff-wide." I let that sit there for a moment. "You waited until your reputation got dragged to do what should have been instinct." He tried to meet my eyes, but couldn't hold them. "We also have a written apology prepared," he added, reaching for a folder. I didn't take it. Malik stepped forward. "Does the apology include the part where you called her aggressive for speaking English with an accent?" The director's hand froze mid-air. Rachel's comment was inappropriate. "We've acknowledged that." "No," I said. "You acknowledged the reaction to it. You still haven't acknowledged what it was." He hesitated. "We regret the incident." I leaned in. "Say what it was." "Excuse me?" "Say it. Say what it actually was." He fumbled. "A racially insensitive interaction." I almost laughed. "You people love your passive words. Insensitive, misunderstood, unfortunate, anything but what it is." The room held its breath. "It was racism," I said. "Plain public proud." The director looked down just then. The door creaked. Olivia stepped in, nervously holding a folder. "I was told I could join." I nodded at her. She sat beside me, eyes shifting toward the director. "Did you get my statement?" He cleared his throat. "Yes, it will be part of the internal file." "Will I be punished for it?" she asked, her voice smaller now. "No," he said. "But we're reassigning you to another store for your safety." My jaw clenched. "For her safety?" Olivia blinked. "I didn't ask to be moved." Malik stepped forward. "Let me guess, Rachel stays on paid leave." And the only person who spoke the truth gets transferred. The director tried to recover. That's not... I cut him off. Don't. He folded his hands. What do you want from us, Miss Daniels? I want Olivia reinstated. I want Rachel's name off your staff list. I want your new policy stapled to every door in this mall, and I want you to say my name. He looked up. Confused, you let your employee mock it publicly loudly, so say it. Now, his voice wavered. Zara Daniels. I nodded. Now say why I'm here. He swallowed. Because we failed to protect your dignity. I stood. You didn't fail, you chose not to. And I left before he could answer because I wasn't asking anymore, I was declaring. I slowed my steps as I passed the boutique. The glass windows were bare now. No mannequins, no displays, just emptiness, like the place had exhaled and given up pretending. Rachel's nameplate, once glued with pride to the front desk, was gone. The light above the door flickered weakly, like even the building had witnessed enough. A little girl stood near the entrance, maybe 8, maybe 9. Her curls bounced when she tilted her head. Her gaze didn't drop when I met it. Her mother pulled her close then. Surprisingly, she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Thank you." I wasn't sure what to say back, so I nodded, slow and certain I didn't need applause. But that mattered. I found Valerie sitting on the curved bench near the fountain, her hands resting in her lap, eyes already locked on me. Before I sat down beside her, she didn't speak right away. "I heard," she finally said. "Yeah." I let out a breath. "It's done. For now," she added. "Until the next voice gets mocked. The next face gets questioned." I stared ahead at the ripple of water. "I didn't go in there to fight. I know, I just wanted to dress." "I know," she said again, softer this time. I shifted my weight. "I didn't want attention. I didn't want cameras. I didn't want to be this. I just wanted to matter out loud. That's all. You did what I never could." She whispered. "You said it?" In rooms where silence was the rule, I turned to her. "You paved the road." I just refused to walk it quietly. A faint static buzz came from the mall's central TV screen near the food court. A local news anchor's voice filled the atrium. "The incident at West Point Mall continues to gain traction as other shoppers begin to share similar experiences. A formal apology was issued yesterday by the property's administration." I looked away. "Is it weird I don't feel better?" I asked. "Like I won, but I didn't." "You didn't win," Valerie said. "You reminded them they can lose." I looked at her. She nodded. "That's scarier to them than any speech you gave." A teenage boy walked by, earbuds in, glancing from the screen to me and back again. He didn't say anything, just gave a slight, respectful nod before moving on. Malik approached from the side, his phone still in his hand. "Reporters are still calling," he said. I sighed. "Let them call. You okay?" "I'm here," I said. He reached for my hand and held it like it was holding me. No words, just the kind of silence that doesn't crush, but holds steady. I turned back to Valerie. "You ever think the silence wasn't just theirs?" "What do you mean?" "I stayed quiet for a long time, at work, in stores, on the train." I made my voice small so no one could label me loud. She blinked, slowly. "So did I? I guess I was just tired of folding myself in. And now?" I let a long breath move through my body. "Now I just want to stretch all the way out." We sat in the stillness. The news report continued in the background, but I wasn't really listening. I knew the words they used: misunderstanding, community tension, steps toward equity. They always want to narrate us like we're calm after storms they created. But I didn't come for a rewrite. I came for the silence to end. And as I stood, brushed off my coat, and turned toward the exit, I knew I wasn't there for applause. I was there so the silence would finally shatter.